So, of course, The Rise of Skywalker tops the box office once again. Honestly, it's probably going to be like that for quite a while. I feel like it's going to have a similar run to Joker, where it was just #1 for like months, basically.
Right, yeah.
And so, I mean, it is, of course, impressive. I mean, any movie that is eventually going to make $1 billion is an impressive turnout because there's only a handful of movies, well, now a little bit more than a handful, but there's only a select number of movies who get to make $1 billion. And of course, Star Wars is not quite there yet. I believe it's at like 947, but it's almost to the $1 billion mark. And yeah, so it is quite the controversial film, I would say.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what we should have expected coming into this last film in the Skywalker saga, because I mean, they're closing a 40-year-old, over 40-year-old storyline.
Right.
And it was pretty much an impossible task to please everybody.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker? Did you like the movie? Did you hate it? Were you kind of in the middle? How'd you feel?
So I would say, I've been thinking about this a lot. I would say kind of in the middle. Like you just said, it was a tall order for J.J. Abrams to conclude all 9 movies. And
spoiler alert, by the way. Let's put that out there. If you have not seen The Rise of Skywalker yet, you probably should maybe turn off for a little bit and then come back maybe in about 15 minutes.
Right. But I would say that I liked most everything about it. Now, there were a few things, the whole Palpatine thing.
That was a little bit, I did not like that very much either.
No, I mean, he clearly died in Return of the Jedi, and I mean...
And they never explain how he came back to life.
No.
So
yeah, it was kind of unclear, so that was, I don't know.
I assume they're going to explain it in the books or something, but it's I'm so tired of it's like, oh, we'll just explain it in the books. It's like, this is a major plot point. You need to explain it in the movie. You know? Like, this is your main villain. You need to give him some backstory of how he's here, why he's here, and we don't really get any of that.
Right.
And then the whole ending with the one girl and the retired stormtrooper and Lando.
Oh,
Apparently they're supposed to be father and daughter, but they never explain that in the movie. So this movie has basically a bunch of just unanswered questions that will never be answered in a movie because this is the last movie.
Right.
Which is kind of frustrating because they're never going to come back to these characters ever again in the movies. In the books, sure. But in the movies, we will never see these characters again. And they left so many unanswered questions. Like what Finn was trying to tell Rey throughout the whole movie, they never explained that. But apparently he was supposed to be telling Rey that he's force sensitive. I thought it was more of a romantic thing, so I was completely wrong on that. So
go ahead.
It was just so confusing in times, and if I'm confused, being a huge Star Wars fan, that's a problem.
Right.
Because I mean, I've been watching these movies since I was a tiny little kid. If I'm having trouble following what's going on, then that's a little bit of an issue.
Right.
However, this was definitely the best of the sequels. 7, 8, 9.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This movie had the task of being not only the second one, but the last one.
Right,
Because The Last Jedi did absolutely nothing to set up this movie at all. And so it basically had to cram 2 movies into this one. It should have been at least 3 hours. Even if with it being 3 hours, it still would have been crammed. So really, they should have split it up into 2 movies. But this is... It's so, like, the action is great. I love the stuff that they did with Ben and Rey. The final scene with the 2 of them was a little rushed and forced, I think, with the 2 of them kissing. I mean, there definitely was a sort of relationship between the 2 of them, but I feel like they could have done a much better job of setting up the romantic side.
I understand what you're saying,
Because they just kind of kiss, and then Ben dies, and then the end.
Well,
again, something that should have been set up.
The other thing with one of the other main characters, Carrie Fisher's, Leia.
Leia,
I think since she had passed away and she was like CGI'd.
Well, she wasn't really CGI. Here's what they did. They used footage that they didn't use for Force Awakens.
Okay,
And then for scenes that they just could not do that, they had her daughter as her body double, at least for a couple scenes.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And then they add so like if it's like a behind shot and it's like how the heck did they do that?
Yeah.
It was usually like a body double.
Okay.
I know for the younger stuff it was her daughter.
And like kind of her like send off. I don't know if I really.
I liked it. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like with what they had to work with Carrie being dead long before this movie started filming. I think it's a miracle that she's in it at all.
Yeah,
and so I feel like with what they had, with her being gone, I feel like they did a fantastic job. And seeing Harrison Ford in this movie was also a lot of fun. Because that was obviously supposed to be a Carrie Fisher scene, but they had to somehow put Harrison Ford in, and then they explained it like Leia was projecting this memory of Han to Ben. And I felt like that was really nice. People complained about it because like, well, that doesn't really make any sense. Like, well, what were they supposed to do?
Right.
Carrie was gone. And and Harrison Ford is still alive.
Right.
And so it was the next best thing. And I feel like they did the best with what they had with that. So I can't really complain about the Leia scenes too much. What do you think about the very, very last scene where Rey is on Tatooine, where Luke was raised?
His home.
And so an older woman walks up to her and says, "Who are you?" And she says, "I'm Rey." And then she says, "Rey who?" And then she says, "Rey Skywalker." Because obviously, I guess we haven't got to this part yet, but Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. And then so she kind of has to fight him at the end of fight and kill him for good this time at the end of the movie. And so she has kind of renounced the Palpatine name, understandably, because he is a horrible, horrible man. And kind of takes on the Skywalker name. What do you think of that final moment?
I thought it was brilliant and awesome how they put that in there.
I think people don't necessarily like the moment, but I feel like it was a required moment. Because this is the finale to the Skywalker saga. You had to tie it in somehow.
I don't know why people wouldn't like it, honestly. I mean, you're always gonna have people think negative about it, but and to end it all and to put the nail in the coffin, she buried the lightsabers.
And she buried Luke and Leia's lightsaber.
That was awesome to me.
I feel like, again, it was a little bit of a cheesy scene, but it was a required scene. You have to have that scene to wrap everything up.
Close it up, solidify that,
Or else it's just like, why is this the sequel trilogy to the Skywalker saga if she's not even a Skywalker? Like, the movies weren't about Ben, they were about Rey. And so I feel like that's something that they basically had to do.
For sure,
So I guess if you could give this a rating out of, like, let's say 5 stars, what would you give this movie?
Oh, like at least 4, if not like 4.5 out of 5.
I'd say I'd have to go with 3.5. Because there's, without a doubt, problems with this movie. But it's not necessarily the movie's fault, per se, because they had to cram so much into this movie because The Last Jedi did, once again, nothing to set up the Rise of Skywalker. And so I feel like that it had an unfair, it was unfair for the Rise of Skywalker due to The Last Jedi doing nothing to move the story forward. And so the Rise of Skywalker had to do all of that. It had to be the second one and the third one. Because The Last Jedi is basically barely a movie at all. I mean, there's nothing we learn in that movie, really. And so
I just, so
I'd have to give it like a 3.5.
I bet I might take it down to a 3.5 because no, it's not perfect, but I mean, I still liked it a lot. I mean,
so with that, we're gonna take a quick break, and after this, we're gonna be talking about some TV news and the Golden Globes. Right after this.